Hello, my dears, and welcome to my ongoing series about the chances of the presidential candidates in the 2020 presidential election in the United States. I hope you're all doing very fine despite the worldwide crisis that is going on right now that we all know about. I would also like to thank you for all your comments and suggestions that you've been kind enough to make. And I would like to encourage you to go on commenting on my videos, because I'm very much interested in what and how you see the chances of the two remaining candidates, which I think one can say without being unjust are both quite controversial in their own way. I mean, obviously I'm talking about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And I would also like to encourage you to subscribe, because there's more stuff to come, and obviously to like my videos. As you can see, I've already mixed the cards, and I shall spread them out in the Celtic cross fashion, as I always do. And I shall complement that with the spread of the Dakini Oracle cards that I did earlier in the day. And then we'll see how Donald Trump is going to fare in the 2020 presidential elections. So let's get to work. So here we are, my dears. This is very, very interesting. Let's start with the card that shows us where he's coming from in the current situation, and that would be the Ace of Cups in reverse. So one thing we can see straight away is that his love affair with the people, or rather the people's love affair with him, is over, at least for the time being. I could have drawn a clarifier card to see why this is, but I didn't even bother, because I think it's quite obvious what it is. He's been under a lot of flack for his handling of the COVID-19 crisis. I mean, and not just from what he considers the fake media outlets, but also from his most ardent supporters. And mind you, I'm not making any comment about whether I think that this criticism is justified or not. That's not the purpose of the card spread. The purpose of the card spread is simply to look at his chances for re-election. And obviously his handling of this crisis or any other crisis has an influence on what his chances are of being re-elected. And the way that he's handled the COVID-19 crisis has been perceived as negative, and obviously that's not a good thing if you want to be re-elected. And never mind how much he's trying to ooze self-confidence. I mean, we can see that he's trying to do that in the cards, the Knight of Wands. I mean, he's being aggressive right now, both in his press conferences and also in his campaign rallies. Never mind how much he's trying to convey that image. The situation really gets to him. It gives him the creeps. I mean, we can see that from the card, the Moon. And the Moon always speaks about immense and uncontrollable fear. So why is it that he's so fearful, and why is it that the situation gives him the creeps? And we only need to look at the card, which is representative of the way that he looks at he himself looks at his situation, which would be this one. I mean, you can see that I've arranged the four cards on the right in a little bit differently from what is usual with the Celtic cross, quite simply so that you can see it all on the screen. So the card that I wanted to show you is the Death card in reverse. Now, the Death card, I want to make that clear, never means that anybody's going to die. It simply means that something's going to end. And if it's in reverse, that is very interesting, because in the context of this spread, it means that Donald Trump, has a vague feeling that some sort of nebulous catastrophe is coming his way, and that he's somehow lost his grip, and that he's somehow lost his way. And this catastrophe is going to hit him when he least expects it, and from quarters where he least expects it. Now, obviously, that is a bit neurotic, but that's how he feels right now. And obviously, he will want to do something about this. And of course, we know from observation that when Donald Trump finds himself in deep water in any shape or form, he has a tendency not to blame himself but to blame others. And we can see that quite clearly from this card, the devil, which occupies the position of his conscious mind, of his awareness in the present situation. And we see that the devil is in reverse, which means that Donald Trump is trying to free his mind from the influence and the manipulations, or rather the perceived manipulations of people who are very close to him and who are advising him badly. At least he feels that these people are advising him badly. And this is complemented by the card Eight of Swords in reverse, which occupies the position of his subconscious. Subconsciously, he's trying very hard to break free from constraints. Now, this could be practical constraints that have to do with his position as President of the United States, obviously. But this could also refer to inner constraints, for instance, a lack of self-worth or self-doubt and that sort of thing. Now, from my personal observation, that I would say that Donald Trump isn't much plagued by self-doubt, but he's certainly plagued by the feeling that other people are conspiring against him, and that the situation in general is conspiring against him. So when he feels that he's losing his way, he's losing his grip, and he's losing control, because that's how he feels like it, he will always look for something or someone to fight so as to regain control of his situation, and that is very much what he's doing right now. I mean, you may or may not have heard in the news that right now he's threatened to sue his own campaign manager, which is quite unheard of. I can't think of any politician, or I can't think of any political campaign where any politician ever threatened to sue his own campaign manager. But it fits when you look at the entire card spread and you realize that he's being a bit neurotic right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a fallout even with people who are closest to him, like Ivanka or Jared. Now, I don't see that in the cards, but it would fit the picture if you know what I mean. So what it all boils down to is that he's in combat mode right now, which obviously is a good thing if you want to win an election. And what he would like to do is that's how he feels like, he would like to renew his bond with the population, or at least with his base of ardent supporters. And the way that he's going to do that is represented by this card, the King of Pentacles, which tells us that in the coming weeks or months we were going to see Donald Trump doing an enormous charm offensive. And I was interested in seeing how that actually turns out. So I drew two clarifiers, and what I got was the Eight of Cups and the Eight of Wands in reverse. Now that's very interesting, because it tells us that he thinks going on a charm offensive is his only way to even have a chance to win the elections, because apparently he feels a lot more threatened by Joe Biden than he would admit. And this would probably take the form of him, making all sorts of promises during his campaign that he's not going to be able to keep. I say that because the other card that we got was the Eight of Wands in reverse, which quite simply means that something that you try is ineffectual and comes to nothing. However hard he tries to, regain the love of the common people and the love of his base, it's not going to be successful. He's not going to succeed to recreate that nimbus which he had when he was first elected. And actually, I have to say that there's as far as the promises that he's going to make, there is an element of insincerity. We can see that in the Two of Pentacles, which normally means playfulness, but in the context of this card spread, I would interpret this card as negative, in the sense that, as already said, someone is making promises, but isn't really serious about keeping them, you know. So, and people will see through that, which is probably the reason why his charm offensive is going to be as ineffectual as it looks in the cards. So at the end of the day, what we get is the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, which is not a good omen. It quite simply means that if things go on as they do now, his chances of winning the re-election are not good. He's probably going to fail. If he wants to win the elections, he will need to do more than just go on a charm offensive. He needs to be more sincere. He should not make promises that he cannot keep or that he doesn't want to keep. Now, let me say once again that this is not my personal opinion. I'm not expressing my personal opinion about any of the candidates that I do spreads about. I'm simply telling you what I see in the cards. It's the cards that are telling me these things. So this is what I can tell you about the chances of Donald Trump for winning the 2020 elections. Of course, this can change, and it's probably going to change, because this is a situation that is evolving quickly, and there's always something new coming in that was unexpected. So I will surely do another update in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned and subscribe to my channel if you like this, and give me a thumbs up. As already said, I shall now complement this by my Dakini Oracle spread, which I did earlier in the day. So let me put away the tarot cards. Okay, my dears, this is the Dakini Oracle spread about the chances of Donald Trump winning the 2020 elections that I did earlier in the day. And it very much complements what I just saw in the Celtic Cross tarot spread. Now, the first card that we get here is centering the present in reverse. Now, that means that something is coming to an end, something is changing, and you cannot, you meaning, in this case meaning Donald Trump, you cannot go on the way that you've been going on before. You need to change your ways in order to be successful, in order not to lose your way. And the fact that that the card is in reverse means that you don't like it. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Now, what does that mean in practice? In practice, what we get here is, we get a clue to this from the next card, Living Goddess in reverse. Now, that's a very interesting card, because the Living Goddess is representative of certain people who are seen, or certain public figures who are seen by normal people as being, the offspring of the gods. They are perfect, and they are infallible, and everything that they touch turns to gold, and they cannot do wrong in the eyes of the people. And I think, without trying to be unfair, we can say that Donald Trump has profited a lot from this nimbus and this aura that he had of being this super successful businessman, and everything that he did was always successful, and he always knew what's what, and so on and so forth. Whether or not that is actually true is a matter of debate, but I'm not going into that. I'm simply saying that this is how people looked at him, and this image is crumbling, and this image is also not coming back, despite the fact that Donald Trump is rather frantically trying to reinstate this image. We can see that through this card, Purification in reverse. It's as if he was trying to wash the stains away from this beautiful, immaculate image that he used to have, but he doesn't succeed because the card is in reverse. Rather, this fallibility, this fact that he's just a totally normal human being, sticks with him like a demon. We can see that by the card Ally. And since I wanted to know how that affects his chances of winning the 2020 elections, I drew two clarifiers. And the two clarifiers that I got are very interesting. The first one is cutting through in reverse, and the second is recall memory. Now, intuitively, I would say that the people are doing one thing that they have not done before. They try to hold Donald Trump accountable for what he does, and say. They're literally cutting through this grandiose image that Donald Trump has been projecting, and since the card is in reverse, it means that it is rather to his detriment. And they also remember very well. This is because we got I could see that because we get the card recall memory. They remember very well what he has been saying and what he's been promising during his first campaign, and they're going to remind him of that. They are going to say, you promised us that you were going to create so and so many new jobs, and maybe they feel that he didn't. And when the COVID-19 crisis came on, you said that it was not affecting the United States, and now we have all these tragic casualties. And let me remind you again that I'm not commenting on whether or not this is true or whether or not this is justified. I'm simply saying that this is what the people are going to say to him. They will stop being impressed by how he says things, but they will listen more to what he actually says, what the substance is. And this is not going to be favorable for him. So obviously his chances of being re-elected under the present circumstances are quite slim, because he has this sincerity problem, which we already saw in the Celtic card spread. So my dears, this is what I can tell you about the chances for Donald Trump to win the 2020 elections at the present time. Now, obviously, this is a fast-evolving situation, so I'll be doing a couple of more updates on the subject. And the next update I'll be doing will obviously be about Joe Biden. And so if you had as much fun with this as I had, and if you liked it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of this content. And as already said, I'm very grateful for all your comments, and I would like to encourage you to go on with this, because I'm very interested in hearing how you look at the entire situation. So I hope to see and hear from you soon, and until then, have a good time.